I went down into the river to pray, wondering why the Commanders went back 5 draft picks on draft day. I went down to the river to pray, wondering my organization didn't do well in rehearsal. Should have had more rehearsal time.
Number one,
Organization is so shitty in every way.
I want
I
everybody to
went
know.
down to the river.
He two great albums came out. We had the Future album and we had the Pusha T album.
I thought we needed some Alison Krauss as a classic to open the show.
My man picks a song from "Oh Brother, We're Out There" from the '90s. Like I don't understand. This is now.
I had one of the Future songs as a pick for you.
I don't even try anymore. I don't even try to.
I had one of the Future songs as a pick, and you insisted. You said, "You know what? No, I want to hear that shitty Commanders bit you're going to do with going down to the river and praying." I love Alison Krauss. I'm a big fan.
Let me get the
I did this for you, even though you're only 40% host of the show, and I'm 60% as we go over every week. I want to do a little something. We're coming up on 100 episodes. As you can see, Samuk, I don't know if you knew that, long-time listener, first time on the show, Draft King. I heard you got the picture memory.
Time out.
Yeah, the picture memory that makes it happen.
You don't even know how
good he is the face of the franchise. I am your host of the utmost, Little Joe. This is the guy who. What do you say every week? This is the guy who sits right across me to my side, Michael the Pharaoh Shanuti, and of course we have what I am hearing.
You're a little too much. You're a little too much right now. You're embarrassing me in front
How do I say your last name?
Rob. Yeah, I like the sauce, dog.
I love it.
I have my own sauce. Yeah, if you can want it. Find it at a grocery store.
Hey.
Damn, coming in hot. Samuk got the sauce.
Sorry, that's not even a sponsor, but there you go.
Hey, put it on the. Hey, we get sponsors from everywhere, man. We get ads at the beginning. We got sponsors at the end. Everybody loves this show. Come on now. Listen, you talked about him being a draft expert. Let me tell you how big of a draft expert this guy is. He has spiders charts for everybody that I want to know about. And hand, basically their hand size, the percentiles of their speed, everything I need to know. He actually was the guy who made me kind of feel better about certain draft picks that we made, especially one baby hands. But we'll get into that.
You were standing on a chair with the rope in your hand and tied around your neck, and he was convincing you that no, I promise you, these are good. They're great draft picks.
My guy, Marcus Armstrong.
My guy's life.
My guy Marcus Armstrong. Follow him at Mock Draftable on Twitter. He's my guy. Him and I go kind of way back. I mean, he only has about 4K followers, so he reaches out. If you reach out to him, he'll reach back out to you. He's the one that kind of goes and does all the spider charts. If you don't know what a spider chart is, it's basically a list of measurables. It kind of looks like a spider in a way. It has a bunch of legs. It'll show you the percentiles of the height, weight, bench press, 40 if they ran it, 10-yard split, which is my favorite metric. And so you can kind of see based off, how well they do in the combine. It's a way you can see it pretty easily. So spiders is my game. And Mike, he knows. That's what I do. He tells me, he's like, yo, what's a spider? And I'm like, this is what it is. And he's like, okay, 90th percentile bench press, we'll take it. Yeah,
he shoots it straight. And the number one thing he knows, guys, like he has information about everyone. I thought about a certain corner from UTS Austin,
and
this man's like, you realize he was a wide receiver before, and I was like, how the fuck did you know that? And the guy goes in the third day.
Tarek Woolen. We can talk about him later.
Listen, I want to pick your brain the whole entire show, Smook. I am pretty impressed, especially with somebody that's a fan of a team that used to have a jail cell in their stadium and is traditionally seen as scumbags. I'm glad to see at least not too much of that got you. Congratulations. You clearly have a picture brain. I'm pretty impressed that I don't know anyone that breaks down the spider dress. Can you give us the follow of your guy one more time, too? Can you give us the
Mock Draftable?
At Mock Draftable.
Yes. Marcus Armstrong. So just give him a follow. Also, friend of the show, hopefully, and then we can kind of keep going. But our stadium might have a jail, but it doesn't break down like FedEx does. So I mean,
there it is.
I've been saying this for years. I mean, I grew up. I still live in Arlington. I grew up in DC my entire life. I'd rather go up to Philly. It takes probably longer to go to FedEx and come back than it does to go to Philly and come back.
He's
So-
on fire. He's
Hey,
on
just saying.
listen, man. I mean, sometimes you have an owner that, fumbles under pressure, like took at least 30 years, 40 years to finally win a Super Bowl, unlike some other franchises I know that put their balls on the table, don't allow their employees to look them in the eye, don't allow them to go to the restroom at all, but stick to business. And that's my type of guy. Just kidding. That is not my type of guy. As always, we say every week on the show, get the fuck rid of Dan Snyder. Get him out of the office as soon as possible. He is the White Devil reincarnated and will have sex with your grandmother and kill his own to keep this franchise going in his name. So honestly, at least you don't have to deal with that.
Exactly. I was going to
Go
say.
ahead. We can trade jabs back and forth, but at the end of the day, I lose, and I can own that because of who represents my team.
Absolutely. But guys, the news broke over the weekend about a special free agent that I know both our teams, we're in the running for Tyrann Mathieu. Tyrann Mathieu heads back to his sweet home of freaking Louisiana and New Orleans. He said he wanted to win a Super Bowl. I don't know why he signed there, but it just shows that he's on his last.
You know who their quarterback is, bro? Fresh off a bachelor's degree from FSU. What you mean, bro?
Let's combine it. This man graduates from FSU. Congratulations to Jameis Winston. He is probably going to be the starting quarterback of.
I'm sorry. Wait, you just went past that. Congratulations, Honey Badger. Hooray, hurrah. 3-year deal, up to $33 million, $18 million guaranteed. But more importantly, and can we get a round of applause for Jameis Winston on this show? Thank you, Samuk. I appreciate that. Way to go ahead and show
I'm
some
not
love.
clapping for that.
Graduating the prestigious University of Florida State. I am just taken back and impressed that he continues to try to pursue his education, especially being a once-in-a-generation sort of guy, once-in-a-generation sort of talent at QB. So, Jameis, hats off to you. And congratulations, Honey Badger, where you're going where winners grow. So, good for you.
I will say,
Honestly,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, so I will say that New Orleans, their entire draft, and I know we're going to get to it, but their entire draft screams win now. So, I mean, it makes sense as to why they went the Honey Badger route. They believe in Jameis. They believe in their defense. I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit, but they're drafted. They believe that they can win. So, I mean, why not, right?
It's hard to argue that's not, especially after the draft, one of the more scary, and this pickup, one of the more scary defenses in the NFL now. They were low. I think it was really an underrated defense last year. They are going to be top 5 guaranteed in my book this year. They are looking nasty, disgusting, and they don't have too many holes at this point after the Honey Badger signing. So I'm really excited to see what they do on that side of the ball, as well as, again, I mean, all bits and gits and shits and gigs aside, man, I do think that with the leading Jameis Winston at this offense, Michael Thomas is going to be back in the picture. It's really exciting to see what this team can potentially do.
All right, for me personally, I'm very happy for the Honey Badger to go back home. I mean, he screams Louisiana. He is Louisiana. Obviously, he did it because I still think so. I think this is his last big contract, quote unquote. I think after that, he's going to do 1-year deals, maybe stay in Louisiana, maybe do coaching stuff. But like you said, Samuk, I feel like they're in a win now scenario. Yes, you have Tampa in front of you, but the NFC is very weak in the sense if they do what they do last year and a little bit better than last year, they're a wild card team. And they will be a wild card team with that defense, with Cam, with Tyrann, with Marshawn, with all these different players. And then Chris Olave with Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara is pretty electric. I think all those pieces together.
I mean, they added the best route runner in the draft.
There you go.
Reminds me of Chris Olave. Reminds me of a lot of Stephon Diggs in a way where he can, get in and out of his breaks. His usage of blind spots, which is basically when a corner's not looking at you, can you use that space and that time, very short amount of time, can you use that to your advantage? The great wide receivers know how to do that. Devontae Smith last year is a great example of someone that can use a blind spot to their advantage. I think Chris Olave is kind of in the same ilk. He's a little tiny. He's not going to give you the yak that you'd want, but I think that is a great spot for him. Again, it's all just based off of if Jameis can play. So we'll kind of see. Your boy Jameis. Let's see if he can actually get the ball to these receivers because they should be open. I mean, we got slant God on one side, and you got silky route run and Chris Olave on the other. I mean, that is an offense that I think could give some defenses fits, and you may see him come January. So yeah, it's a good spot for him, especially if he wants to win.
I'm very
I
happy
agree.
for them.
If Jameis has that kind of career year that he can have and really do what we think he has the capability to do when he actually focuses, again, with that bachelor degree, intelligence just went up a little bit, so I'm feeling good for my boy. No disrespect to nobody that got that degree. You're probably smarter than all the rest of us. But no, I really do think this team has all the tools. If Jameis can be what Jameis can actually be when focused, they have the tools to for us to even see him potentially in February. Forget January. But with that being said, I got to get, before we get into the draft, I mean, I got to get to one thing that's on everybody's mind. Of course, the Twitter moment, nude of the week. We started trying to cover, if I could talk here today on our show, cover more Twitter beefs. Everybody loves it. Do you want to get into it? Do you want to break it down for the people? The
Yes, I'll break
Debo
it down.
and OBJ,
Let's
not Twitter beef, but more like bits, shits, and gigs kind of Twitter moment of the week.
Everybody knows OBJ has been talking about, he has some tea to spill about Mr. 19 on the 49ers right now. And he, for some reason, likes to troll everybody during the draft and says, Debo to the Patriots, what the fuck? And everybody took it as gospel. Everyone. Until Debo said, man, you're bored as shit, aren't you? LOL and all this stuff. And OBJ basically is like, what? You guys didn't think that was funny? Blah, blah, blah. I'm bored and all this shit. I'm like,
you don't love the bits of Obi? Who could forget the hot tub belly dancing from 6 years ago?
Let's be honest. If it was the Steelers and he said that, I'd be absolutely furious that he said that. And I would be like, what the fuck is going on? It's more so it's laughing at somebody else's pain when it's not your pain. And it's just like, I get it. OBJ. You're probably not going to play until November. And you're probably going to go back to the Rams on a minimal deal because you can't do anything else. Now you're going to put all this on Debo and all this fake rumors out there. I think it's just funny because everybody took it as gospel. That's it. Nobody knew. OBJ said he had some tea to spill. He did what he did, and I think Debo was okay with it. So it is what
everybody
it is.
bid on the bit, nude. What do you? But I gotta ask, Samik, what do you think, or do you care at all? You couldn't give two shits, or you're left nut about Twitter beef, or Twitter back and forth, or Twitter shits and gigs.
I'm not a big Twitter brief guy. I mean, I saw that. I saw it, and I saw that a lot of people were very were just like, oh my god, this is gonna happen. Group chats and everything was blowing up, and I was just like, dude, if Debo were to get traded again, that stuff would have happened before the draft. So we kind of know where everyone is. There's a very low likelihood that he gets moved this year. And I mean, I'm just ready for the season, honestly. Like, this is like the time where you're just like, I mean, I know OBJ's bored as hell. You probably can't run yet. So, I mean, he's just probably just waiting to get back and get on with the season and stuff. So, that's my take.
Basketball. He should watch the basketball playoffs right now. They're pretty hot right now. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm not going to touch that at all. I'm going to go ahead and I just want to keep Nude happy. I hope that he can do their thing. But more importantly, at the end of the day, it's just you're going to get your shits, gigs, and bits and yada yada yada. But who really gives a shit when it's all said and done? But speaking of shits, gigs, and bits and twits, and this is seemingly looking like a bit, but it was not whatsoever. The Browns go ahead and pick up a power forward from Texas Tech. That is my man. If you're a big NCAA fan, that is Marcus Santos Silva to play tight end for Texas Tech. What is your guys' initial impression on this? Are you excited, Nude? Could you not be happier? Once again, the Browns just kind of shooting themselves in the foot as often as possible.
It's the Browns being the Browns. They're just trying to find talent where talent it shouldn't be. I mean, everybody's trying to find that Jimmy Graham, that Antonio Gates, that Tony Gonzalez. He played basketball. If he could play, he could play. Good for him. But they do have Njoku, who I think is going to be their starting tight end. I don't see this guy. He could touch the field, probably win some 50-50 balls. Obviously, you said power forward, just like rebounds. So I guess we'll see how it translates. That's all I could say. I mean, it translates for everybody else. So,
yeah, I mean, the Eagles signed a track star. I mean, weird.
So there you go.
This is again, they signed a play receiver. Again, it's a camp body at this point. Why not? Practice squad maybe if he's good enough, but you always want to take a shot at plus body types.
You can't.
Especially in the NFL.
I mean,
Good frame,
sure, but it's like,
6'7",
to me, it's
250.
like, when people go on ESPN and go, LeBron could, and I understand he played football. LeBron could have been a great tight end at the. It's just, you're looking for clicks. It's just bullshit to me. It doesn't get me going. I don't. Listen, you specialize in a sport. When you get to college and you specialize in that sport, that is your sport, and you're going to make a career. If you choose to make a career out of it, you're good enough to make a career out of it, you stick with that. It just never translates well unless you're like a Bo Jackson, unless you're a Michael Jordan, who did have some good stats back in the day, believe it or not. Great outfielder, not so much batter. But yeah, so I mean, it's just not something that really gets done. I don't see, like somebody said, at best practice squad, but I don't see it going even that far.
Nah, I just think we're all enamored by the athleticism. Like Smook said, it's a camp body. You bring a guy in, maybe he can do something. Maybe he could be somebody you could use for practice squad whenever you play. Like a guy like, who's a good example? Like a tweener, a 6'6" tight end. Oh, like Kelsey, or somebody like my boy Pat Fryermuth, of course, and Dallas Scott.
Cool.
But no, I mean, like Logan Thomas too. Don't forget, Logan Thomas was a quarterback turned tight
No,
end. So
sports switch versus position switch, very different thing.
Definitely different. Yeah.
We'll talk about a couple position switches that were in the draft, but yeah, no, it's so much easier. It's still a little difficult, I would say, but I mean, I don't know how much basketball or how much football this guy played in high school or anything. So if he has skills, I mean, we'll see, because he wasn't getting anywhere with basketball. He was averaging 4 points and 4 rebounds a game. So
whatever happened to that tight end for you guys, Joey, the guy from Florida? That's a good example. I don't even know where he is. No. There was this tight end from Florida or Mexico who was this huge dude, Reyes, last year.
Oh, you're talking the guy we got like in the 5th or 6th last year?
Samus Reyes,
yeah.
You didn't catch one fucking ball.
Yeah, my point exactly.
Okay.
But so before we get into the draft, we're almost there, boys. Biggest news of the week besides reacting to the draft itself. And honestly, the biggest whiff of bullshit of the week, in my personal opinion, it seems that DeAndre Hopkins is now suspended for 6 games due to a failed substance test back in November of 2021. Why is this coming up now? I don't remember that popping up then at all. It just really seems all like a nice convenient package. It seems like every year now the NFL has to have a big name player suspended. I don't know if it's a marketing play or not, but I don't put anything past Roger Goodell and his devils in armor. I don't know really what to make of this. It doesn't make sense. It feels, again, kind of like the whole season punishment for why am I blanking on the name right now? Somebody help me out, for gambling.
Oh, Calvin Ridley. Yeah,
I don't know why I blanked there, but yeah. So I mean, I was completely fucking baffled. To me, it just smells like a whiff of bullshit. Gentlemen, give me your thoughts on this. Were you just as disgusted as I was? Do you feel like this was Goodell once again sacrificing a family member to make the dollars move? It just smells bullshit to me.
I mean, you know what substances are banned, I feel like, as a player. So if you did have something in the system, it was in there for a reason. I mean, I don't know. D-Hop, the guy was made out of Braille this past season. I don't know why. You know, Samuk, why I'm saying this, because I had him on my fantasy team, and he almost fucking cost me. Still won, thank you. But he's on the back end of his career. Whatever can help him get on the field quicker, especially on that team, probably was given to him to do that. And he knew the risks. He knew the rewards. Frankly, that's just what happens. It's just.
I mean, he's denied it completely. So I'm curious. I mean, it is a he said versus the league said situation, but he is denied ever using any substances or performance-enhancing drugs.
Apparently, he said in his he tested him 2 other times, and both of them came back negative. So I don't know. I don't know who to believe. It's like a he said, she said situation.
He said, league said.
Yeah, well, she said, because Roger Goodell is a woman, and in some cases.
I'm sorry, what? Hell no. Do not compare Roger Goodell to the strong women of planet Earth. How dare you? You're disgusting. This is why you get canceled. This is why I'm 60% host, and this is why you'll be a terrible father.
I don't
But
give a
yes, you
shit.
can keep talking.
I mean, I will say I think that Arizona kind of knew that this was coming. The moves that they've made this offseason, bringing back
Yep.
AJ Green, trading for Hollywood Brown, actually re-signing Zach Ertz and drafting another tight end. Cliff Kingsbury is a big proponent of playing 10 personnel, which is one running back, 4 receivers. And him having 2 tight ends that are worth a damn on the roster pretty much makes it seem as though they're going to be okay with running maybe some 12 or some 11, 12 being 2 tight ends and 11 being 1 tight end.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what they do offensively. It's going to be very interesting to see how they play without him. I know they wanted to introduce some more verticality in that offense, but we'll see. I think this is a big loss for them. They've always been a team that's been on the fringe. I know Kyler Murray's his contract is still up in the air. We don't necessarily know. I'm just manifesting from here on out, from May 4th, 2022 onwards, that there's a rift there between Kyler and Arizona, and come next year he's a Philadelphia Eagle. So that's what I'm manifesting. That's what I'm hoping for.
Oh my God!
So I'm going to be putting that into existence. I
All
thought it was going to
right,
happen
next
before the draft.
topic.
Okay.
So
All
going to draft
No,
reactions.
No,
Let's go ahead
seriously.
and let me just get.
He's not joking. Did I think
I'm not
fucking
joking.
AJ Brown be
I know
be
you're
a
not
Philadelphia
joking.
Eagle?
Yeah. I would just piss me off
it's
so
unbelievable.
much.
It's unbelievable. Howie is out here playing Madden while the other ones are playing fucking, I don't know, FIFA. Like, I just don't understand.
So the Eagles have 2 first-round picks next year. They have the 2024 New Orleans second. If I'm Arizona and you just don't see a future with Kyler Murray, and you're not going to pay him $230 million fully guaranteed,
it's going to happen.
It only makes sense. There's only a couple teams that can actually pay that contract and have assets to give back.
Are you a little wearisome on Jalen? What's the attitude there?
I think he's fine. I don't necessarily think you can win a Super Bowl. You can win games with him, but Kyler Murray changes the entire stratosphere.
Kyler Murray over Jalen Hurts without question.
In a heartbeat. Yeah.
There's only 2 players on the Steelers I wouldn't trade for Kyler Murray right now.
It's a league in which
you would hear a trade for TJ. You would hear a trade.
I would never trade TJ for anyone.
You would hear a trade.
No.
3 first-rounders for the next 3 years.
Then you wouldn't need it for TJ. You wouldn't need TJ.
Kyler Murray and D-Hop.
You don't need no.
Kyler Murray, D-Hop, and 3 first-rounders.
No,
D-Hop. Don't tell me you're not saying yes to that. This is stupid.
We're done with hypotheticals. We're going to real life. Stop.
That's just stupid.
So, my man Samuk went to Philly for the draft. He was there when the trade went down. He was there when he saw those picks. So, Samuk, I really what I want to get into is how was the atmosphere? What was everything like in Philly? I know you said you've done this every year.
Yeah.
Go into it, my man.
We've been going every year, my buddies and I. None of us live in Philly, so we make it a yearly thing to come back to Philly because we all came for the draft in 2017 in Philly. Incredible event. If you ever get an opportunity, go to the draft. It's basically a big. I mean, they did it in front of the Rocky Steps, so basically they had about 10 blocks shut down in Philly.
Jesus Christ!
And you were just basically they had a bunch of different stalls and stuff. They had a punt, pass, kick competition thing, so you go and kick footballs or catch stuff. It was really cool. A lot of different things that you could do over there. Obviously, the draft is kind of secondary at that point. It's more of a festival of football. And if you really like football and you like just being around other people who like football, I highly recommend. I don't know where's the draft next year. Is that Kansas City?
Kansas City, baby.
Kansas City, yeah. So you guys should just make a trip out there. It's always fun. I will say though, the first round is
the franchise first field trip. Might have to, dude.
I'm telling you, Kansas City is also a great town. So I would suggest that. But no, Philly was great.
Bring our insider guys too, which you now are. So you have to get a free ride.
You have to come and see the Eagles trade for Kyler Murray this time.
Oh my God! Yeah, no, we wouldn't have any picks then. We wouldn't have any picks. So we start. It's all these Arizona picks, but no, it's
just
great.
See him in the corner, just watching Kyler Murray highlights with AJ Brown highlights from the previous year. It's just he's just
putting the phones together. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so my buddies and I
get kicked out for.
Yeah, no, it's
just making strange noises as you combine the 2 phones.
I mean, it's great. I mean, we all are draft nerds, so it's getting together and watching it. And again, it was one of these things where all of us have our laptops, and all of a sudden, one of us stand up and just basically the laptop falls to the ground. And goes, AJ Brown just got traded to the Eagles. And we just all looked at him like he was crazy. And it was nuts. It was just a crazy day, crazy weekend too, because day two, day three are my favorite days. More than day one. Day one's more for the casuals. I think day 2 and day 3 is more for us. So it was fun. It was fun. It was great.
Gyms, the guys
yeah,
that you never thought
guys,
could really be anything.
And that's the height of it, because you never know what they're going to be, right? So you're like, oh man, if everything pans out, this dude could be like the Hall of Famer or something. And that's for every guy, even like a 6th round pick. I'm just like, oh, I can see how that fits. I can see
100%. Those are guys that you have a little bit more heart for, a little bit more love, a little bit more passion. There's a little bit something extra special when you're watching their college highlights or whatever the case may be. Me, for one, I'm my only, and we'll all get into our thoughts here in a moment, but my favorite pick and the only pick I like from the Washington Commanders is Sam Howell, who I think is a quarterback. You can giggle and you can smirk and all that nude all you want, but this guy's got a fucking cannon on him. I like this guy's got a fucking cannon on him, broke a ton of Tar Heel records. I'm super excited to see what he can do for us. I like him better than our 2 current options, and that's someone who's an ODU alum with Heineke there, and somebody that absolutely despises Carson Wentz, so take that as you will. But at the end of the day, I think this guy is going to have more of a career than those two, so I'm excited about that. Those late round picks make me happy. But, Nude, I want to know what everybody wants.
Stop. Before you say that.
How are you feeling about your first round draft pick? No, we're getting right to it. How do you feel about your first round draft pick? How do you feel about the era of Kenny Pickett beginning? Let's start there with our, and then we'll get to our overall reactions. But I want to stop the presses. I want to get right to it. The era of bare hands, Kenny Pickett. How are you feeling?
All right, number one, I'm going to put huge holes in your logic with Sam Howell. Breaking Tar Heel records. You know whose records
Why do you think
breaking?
I'm trying to the next topic so fast?
You realize whose records he broke, right? Trubisky's. All right, next. The guy you're talking about, bare hands.
Do not tarnish records every week. Do not tarnish the Tar Heels football program. How fucking
Dan Marino. Next. All right.
Exactly.
Let me just set the scene, because Samuk set the scene for his AJ Brown trade. I'll set my scene for Kenny Pickett. I said I was in a wing place, and I told myself I can eat 10 more wings, but I'm going to eat those 10 wings as emergency wings if things go awry. What is awry? I told you, if we trade up for either him or Willis, I'd be very pissed. Very pissed. We didn't trade up for him. We got him where we at 20. Okay. I was very all right, we got him at 20, whatever. I thought about it more. There's only one organization that literally is right there to watch him every single fucking day, and it's us. So if there's a situation where they felt like he couldn't handle it, I feel like Tomlin and Kevin Colbert passed up a lot of Pittsburgh players to be like, if he sucks, we don't need him. So I trust my GM, I trust my coach, I trust in what they're saying. Yes, the dude has smaller hands than babies. I get it.
What do you mean? He's got those bear claws, baby. Don't fuck with my man, Kenny.
And I'm gonna throw it to my man over here to explain why he kind of calmed me down. But Kenny Pickett is what he is. We went to the playoffs with Ben Roethlisberger looking like a dead man walking. So all I need him or Mitch Trubisky to do is not fuck up. It's pretty easy.
So to set the situation there for Samuk real quick, set the situation for Samuk real quick so he can tell you how. I want to hear his advice for sure. But just to be clear, you were in your parents' garage, Nude. You had the car on, garage door shut, and you just called Samuk, and he got there as fast as he could.
Okay, let me just
I took the first train out. I was like, all right, I gotta go comfort him in his time of need. So just to set the scene here, Kenny Pickett, his hands, he has, according to Mock Draftable, 1 percentile. So we're talking about probably the smallest hands we've ever seen in the NFL. Average.
This is not what he said to me, by the way.
Don't worry, I'll preface it later. Don't worry.
Because the garage door would have not come up, and that car would have stayed on and locked.
So to give you, he has 8.5-inch hands, right? Average hand size is about 9.5. Some other people that have really small hands, Christian Hackenberg, with 9-inch hands. Joe Burrow has also 9-inch hands. Okay, so it could go either way.
Okay.
Sam's hiding all the
Ryan Tannehill is sub-8 or sub-9. So the reason why I don't think this hand size thing is an issue, even though he has such small hands, he has really thick, meaty fingers, which makes a big difference. So Joe Burrow, great example of this. Small hands, thick, meaty fingers. The meaty fingers allows you to actually provide that accuracy. Because if you have, these skeleton fingers like I do, you don't get that. So I mean, this is basically gonna turn into a hand fetish podcast very soon, because after we sat there and we stared at his hands for a long time, and I'm looking at it with gloves, and it doesn't seem as though he has any issue getting that ball out if you watch him play. Yes, ball security is an issue when you have those small hands, but that's only a problem is if your quarterback gets hit, right? Jared Goff, great example, got hit a lot and then would fumble a lot, and so basically if you can keep your quarterback upright and he has small hands, he'll be fine. High accuracy guy,
meaty paw, those thick meaty fingers, baby.
Really,
if you have those burly little tiny dancers, it's not going to work. But you have those
Jared Goff, very dainty fingers, very dainty fingers for Jared Goff. But this guy's built. He's been playing in the stadium for such a long time. He's been playing at Heinz Field for a long time. And just to reiterate Mike's point here, the Steelers. I don't know if I got this right, but the Steelers and the Pittsburgh Panthers. Don't they the Panthers?
Panthers. Yes.
Yeah, they actually share a training facility.
No, yeah,
So
it's literally
it's a duplex. Yeah, it's in the same spot. So I mean, as you said, anyone that's watching him, they know it's in his backyard. So I mean, again, very accurate, great leader. He was getting them balls out. Like, he gets balls out really fast. Great mechanics. I don't have any issues with anything aside from his hands. So I mean, great. His deep ball.
His palms. His fingers you love.
Yeah, his palms, could be a little small, but what I'm saying is it's not as though they have a bunch of guys they're not going to expect him to throw 40 yards down the field.
Thank you.
A lot of their offense is short, intermediate stuff. I mean, we saw Matt Canada last year with Ben. This guy is just basically, we're talking about right now, his rookie year. He's a much better Ben Roethlisberger in a way and he has a little bit of mobility too. It's not like he's going to sit there in the pocket. They're going to do a lot of RPOs. They're going to do a lot of get him out.
Much better Ben Roethlisberger.
We're talking about his rookie year.
Last year.
We're talking about his rookie year. Malik Willis wasn't going to start. We knew that. So I know, it's between him and Trubes. I do think that Kenny Pickett can beat him out. And I wouldn't be surprised if Kenny Pickett is someone that we're looking at next year as someone that's going to be the Steelers quarterback going forward.
Absolutely.
I consider him to be my comp for him was Andy Dalton crossed with Kirk Cousins in a way where what you're going to get with him. He's going to be someone that, may have a couple mistakes here and there. He's going to have some disaster class games where he just turns the ball over a lot, whether it's fumbles, strip sacks, all that fun stuff.
Again, you're going to be just like the Steelers, which is short, intermediate games. Just like the way their franchise moves, short and intermediate and not long lasting.
I don't
as you just stated. And this is why we have these draft experts on there. This is why we have these insider guys to let us know the difference thick meat really makes. So, Smook, I appreciate that. This guy will he's definitely a step up. Again, I'll go off bit mode, I'll go off troll mode. Again, he is a step up. I definitely like Kenny. I obviously like the quarterback who took the falling in stride a whole lot better in this draft, in my personal opinion. Say what you will. Someone who is way more athletic than E.J. Manuel would ever be in his hottest dreams. 10 times the athleticism of that guy, if you can barely remember him. But yeah, so I'm really excited to see what happens. Steelers overall, great draft. We'll get to that in a second, but I want to know your guys' overall thoughts on the draft. I had to dive into Kenny right away, but I want to know your overall thoughts on just the draft in general. Let's start with our expert, or hand fetish expert, our thick meat expert, an Eagles fan, of course.
Yeah.
All right,
a couple things. I mean, I just from a holistic standpoint about the draft, it was very interesting to see how teams kind of figured their way through it. So one of the things that I wasn't expecting going in was the quarterbacks all falling, because we knew the quarterback class wasn't great, right? Yeah. So the fact that I was expecting teams to go up to the top 10, take a quarterback. You could tell day one when teams weren't trading up to 26 or 32, because the best asset, in my opinion, is a quarterback on a 5th-year option. Best asset then in that case is a quarterback on a fifth-year option at the end of the first round, right? You have Lamar Jackson, pick 32, cheap, and you have 5 years of control with him. So once I knew teams weren't trading up to take a quarterback, then I knew, oh my God, none of these quarterbacks are any good, aside from Kenny Pickett, maybe. But like getting these guys in day 2, day 3. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that you're not really married to them. So like, say, for example, Sam Howell's a great example. Say Carson sucks. Sam Howell comes and plays 8 games. He's okay. You still, and you're, 2-15, 3-14.
Yeah,
you're not married
15
to.
And 2, I agree.
You're not married to Sam Howell in a way like you would be if you went up and traded up in the first round and got him, right? And that's how a lot of these teams are operating right now. They're saying, okay, Atlanta with with their guy, with Desmond Ridder. We might be okay with him, but at the end of the day, if we're bad and he's okay, we could just Josh Rosen the situation and go after C.J. Stroud, or Bryce Young, one of those guys, and then just go get those guys, and then we don't really care for Desmond Ridder. We'll just trade him or something like that. So it was interesting to see how the teams didn't even trade up for him, didn't value quarterbacks at all. Usually, if this was 6, 7, 8 years ago, we would see the E.J. Manuels of the world, guys that should never have been in the first round, get drafted in the first, second round. So that was my major takeaway from it, how teams operated. I would say most of them are smart. We have pretty like 2 or 3 stupid ass GMs still, but most of the league pretty smart still. So that's good to see. Makes the product much better. So
I agree. I found it really, I mean, this draft way more appealing than what it really was sold to be too. I believe it was the first time 5, I think 6 actually, correct me if, no, 5 defensive players were drafted in the first 5 picks since 1991. Is that correct, Smoot?
I don't remember. I'm just saying that this is a lot of defensive players because we never see a quarterback. We never see quarterbacks fall that far. Usually there's a quarterback that goes in the top 5 or some skill position or an offensive tackle. The fact that it went, defensive end, corner, defensive end, unbelievable. Yep. It's nothing that I was expecting either, which is what makes the draft so fun. You do all these mocks, you try to figure out how the draft's going to go, and then come draft day, things just turns into a shit show. So that's what's so fun about it.
Yeah, it's the day where liars live their best kind of at, right? I mean, it's where they shine. It's you don't trust anything going into the draft.
I think personally, it was the deepest draft for 2 positions, and that's why we saw the run that we did: wide receiver and defensive and edge rusher. I think we saw that. Jags being Jags should have picked Hutchinson, but that's beside the point. But Walker was up there, Hutchinson. We saw the Jets trade back in. They had JJ3, and then we also saw David Lloyd. We saw all these different players getting picked. I think the stat you're looking for, Joey, I think it was the first time we saw 6 wide receivers in the first round since that time period. Because we had both wide receivers from.
Well, that was that as well. Not to interrupt, but there was a stat where the first 6 defensive players overall were taken since 1991. It's the same kind of thing where that just hadn't happened in again almost 30 years.
Well, if you also take, I guess you can't take it, but you can put 7 if you want to put A.J. Brown in there. But all those wide receivers were there.
8
and
if you want to include Hollywood.
Marquise, yeah.
Hollywood, too. Yep. Hollywood, yeah. But you think about in the day 2, day 3, there's still some value that was still there, even after all those wide receivers left. I mean, we did talk about Pickens for us, but there was Minchie. There were still all those other players, Austin. Like, all these players that you could draft in those second and third round and still be okay. Which, I mean, those first-round talents that did go are immaculate. Like, I still think Williams is going to be great, Olave, Wilson, all of them. But you could be okay with the Pickens. You could be okay with the Minchie and be like, all right, well, let's get something else and get a wide receiver later. Same with edge rusher. And I think that's what I got most from this draft. Really like the Las Vegas vibes. I think that was the perfect place, especially when people are betting. And I am a very big Jaguars fan after that video of that lady dancing up and down. No questions at this time. But Samuk, really, I do want to hear one thing from you. Give me your biggest winners and biggest losers of draft day. It could be trades. It could be anything. Who were those 2 teams? Like, you gave multiple teams, but who were those winners and losers?
So again, winners for me, it really just depends on what you want, what your franchise is doing, what way it's going. So for me, if you're looking at contenders, Kansas City nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Karlaftis reminds me of a young Kerrigan or a young Ryan Kerrigan that Joey, you should know a lot about. 10-year player, guy that, motor is what.
That is probably the only player I've heard him compared to, which is really good.
I mean, it's basically, if you have a white DN, you compare him to another white DN.
Of course.
So
as human nature goes, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of those, but Trent McDuffie, again, the guy that I remember telling Mike about, was like, listen, he's my favorite player in the draft because he reminds me so much of Sidney Jones.
This is a true fan here too. You knew where my heart was at. That was one of my favorite players in the draft.
Dude is Sidney Jones if he never tore his Achilles. So that was fun.
Yeah, right.
Leo Chanal, the kid from Wisconsin, he's a middle linebacker, basically one of the best run defender linebackers in the draft. Strong as Knox. He's not really great at defending like tight ends, or he's not going to be tasked with doing that. So hopefully to see him in the early downs just to shore up that Kansas City run defense. Brian Cook is another, safety prospect that I really liked as a day 2, day 3 guy. He's going to be deployed as a third safety because they just signed Justin Simmons. So basically, and then not to mention that they replaced Tyreek with what I like to call 5-yard Tyreek, which is Sky Moore, who does everything. He does everything Tyreek does in the 5 yards, 5 yards around the line of scrimmage. He's not going to do any of the long stuff Tyreek does, but they just basically retooled with one trade, trading away Tyreek and basically getting 4 could-be starters on a team that already was an AFC champion contender.
Yeah.
They're gonna be a team that we're gonna be looking at come again late January. They're gonna be there and they're gonna be like, oh, look at all these rookies that are just playing big snaps for them at this point. So that'll be fun to see. The other contender are the Chargers. Adding Zion Johnson, again, another guy that's you just throw him in there as a guard. He kind of reminds me of Rashawn Slater a little bit, which they both have their same issues. What was funny about the Slater stuff last year, and the reason why he fell, is because people thought he would just be a guard. He just comped out to be a guard because he was short, had short arms. Zion Johnson's the same way, except he's going to play guard. So if you have 2 guys who are at probably or maybe an all-pro level he is an all-pro, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he was an all-pro.
Yeah, he was an all-pro. Yeah. So you have an all-pro, and then you add Zion Johnson next to him, who may also be an all-pro, has that same talent. You have yourself probably, you went from something that was your biggest weakness to now probably one of your biggest assets. A couple guys more I like, Sawyer, the guy from Georgia, he's another guard, fell for some reason. I don't necessarily know why. He allowed 1 sack the entire year, and that was to Will Anderson, who's going to be a top 3 pick next year. So, I mean, it's just they're just adding guys, and these guys are going to play. Isaiah Spiller is another guy, like one of the running back prospects at Texas A&M. Kid is an auto upgrade to Josh Kelly in Roundtree. He's not going to be a plotter. Probably plays first downs. Probably spells Austin Eckler a lot. So Austin Eckler can come in on those money downs and third downs and actually ball out. And then they also added JT Woods. They basically added so many guys. JT Woods is another guy I really like. You can put him at corner. You can put him at safety. I absolutely love him. Another chess piece for Brandon Staley in that defense. 4.4 speed. He's just going to be nuts for him. And we're going to look at the Chargers and be like, again, what the hell happened to this team? I thought their offensive line was a disaster, and you turned out they're 3 all-pros on that offensive line.
Yep.
Quickly on a rebuilding aspect, Detroit. We're going to look at him. Hutchinson, number 1 player in my board. Obviously, on a lot of others. They added, Jameson Williams, my number 1 receiver, a guy that's like Deshaun Jackson, but he glides. He's not really his speed is there. He would have run a 4.2 if he didn't tear his ACL. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's one of those things where you just take the talent, trust the talent, right? Another guy on that Detroit draft, Malcolm Rodriguez. People might not have heard of him. Watch him play at Oklahoma State. He's a smaller linebacker, but I don't think I've ever seen him take a bad route to a ball, watching his highlights. He always finds a way to get to it. He reminds me of Eric Kendricks, and getting Eric Kendricks in the 6th round is a win. Middle linebacker probably starts day 1. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that if you're Detroit, right, all you're doing is taking bites at the apple and hoping that you get starters. So those are the 3 guys that are going to come in right away and play, big snaps. I mean, Jameson probably not until November, but we'll see. So that's kind of it. Yeah, I mean, we can talk about Atlanta's draft too. I mean, we can talk about all 32 of these teams. I don't think.
What about who is your failures of the draft? Who gets?
I don't think I have one.
I mean,
it's funny because I honestly don't think. I think all these teams that didn't draft a quarterback. I was waiting for one team to be stupid and draft a quarterback, and none of them did. I mean, I
don't think there's one team in our division that had a pretty piss poor draft.
I mean, Dallas is funny. I just don't understand what they're trying to do, but I trust, for some reason, this is awful. I feel bad saying this, but I trust.
Oh my God,
Dallas.
you're gonna say it.
They figure it out every single year. I don't know how they do it.
They pick Parsons doesn't mean they're a good draft.
I mean, they did draft a couple, offensive linemen that come in and play. I mean, the only one I also don't understand is Green Bay, because they're kind of in the middle of two. They drafted Quay Walker, who has all the tools, but I mean, he needs time. Devontae Wyatt has, red flags. There's some domestic violence stuff with him. You don't necessarily know if he's going to be able to stay on the field. Christian Watson is a development wide receiver. He's not going to play. Like, he has the tools, but Aaron Rodgers.
I would disagree with that. I think he's somebody that can actually have an impact. I understand he's coming out of North Dakota State, and he's kind of, he's going to have definitely a huge learning curve when it comes to all that. But I do think he's somebody, averaged 20 yards reception. I think it's somebody that is absolutely dangerous and will continue to be dangerous. I think people are definitely sleeping on this guy a little bit.
The problem is that he doesn't run a full route tree. So, being sure, he's going to kind of go out there like Quez Watkins for the Eagles and just basically run go routes, or deep posts, all that kind of fun long routes. And I don't necessarily know if that's the type of receiver you want with Aaron Rodgers. You want the route, the route technicians, the savvy route runners. Those are the kind of guys that kind of do well with him.
You don't think Mr. Immunize is going to coach him up a little bit and get him right where he needs him to be?
I don't necessarily know if that's going to be his job, though. I mean, that's why I was saying, I was wondering at 22 and 28, it's kind of a shame the way the board went for Green Bay, that none of the receivers were available there. You were thinking at 22 you may be able to get, Treylon Burks there. That didn't happen. Jahan Dotson, even him, that didn't happen either, obviously, because the Washington semi-professional football team took him at 16 for some reason. Still don't understand that.
I'm going to steal that, honestly. I mean, and now I'm going to interject just for a moment, because I'm going to bring this up, and we'll get back to our winners and losers of the draft in a second. But this is, in my book, was an absolute loser move. I mean, I just don't understand why you move back 5 spots. Just like I was saying in my wonderful song in the beginning that's going to win a Grammy, I don't understand why you go back 5 spots and you lose out on 3 guys that were definitely super high in your draft board, and someone you already mentioned, Jameson Williams, and then you go ahead, Chris Olaf, someone you've already mentioned, who is the route god, at least especially when it came to NCAA this past year, and then, of course, a guy that I thought was a no-brainer for us. Most Commandos fans wanted us to go ahead and draft somebody that can go along Scary Terry, but we went ahead and instead missed out on Kyle Hamilton as well, who was my guy, who I was 100% sure we were going to go ahead and get. Told you he would drop new. Told you he was a top 10 guy. Disagree with the bust talk, though. Whatever. He ran a 4.740. Oh, no. I think he'll be fucking fine. He's going to be good to go. Unfortunately, as much as I hate to admit that, I think he's going to look great in purple. That's for damn sure. But also at the same time, it's just embarrassing. I'm not excited by Dotson at all. Especially compared to what we could have gotten. Listen, he's going to be fine. He's going to be a guy that's going to be second to Terry. He's going to get some distraction off Terry. He has that body type. That's fantastic. I'm excited about that. But we missed out on true Pro Bowlers, in my opinion, versus a guy that will just be a solid 7 to 8 year career guy. And that's about it. But if you do want to get into that, Newt, I'll get into my winners real quick if you guys don't mind. And there's one clear winner to me, 2 clear winners to me. This is not a bit, by the way. I always do a bit with when it comes to this team. I'm gonna get to that in a second, dude. Relax. But there is a team that I always do a bit with, usually when it comes to them. No bit here. I don't care what you say, and I'm surprised you didn't mention them. The Jets got 1,000% better in my book.
I think
1,000% better.
Yeah, that was more of a given because of the amount of picks that they had. The Jets are. If you have 4 top 40 picks, like the expectation is you get better. I'm looking at this from what did they trade? They traded Tyreek. Kansas City traded Tyreek, and they got so many draft picks. How are they going to utilize these? They're going to trade it up, figured it out, and that's what the thing. The Jets again, great choice as a winner.
And it's not like they haven't had multiple first-round picks in the past. They just usually blow it. And they actually had some brains and clarity in that front office this year. And it is impressive, the guys they were able to get. I love Garrett Wilson. I obviously love Sauce. I think it's just going to be an instant impact from all 3 of those guys that they drafted in the first round and beyond. I'm really excited to kind of see what comes about here. As you know, Nude, obviously we have the 2 most elite quarterbacks in the whole entire league on that roster as well, and Zach Wilson and Joe Flacco. And we also get to hear a Wilson to Wilson connection for the next 10 years, make us want to blow our brains out. So I know you guys are at least on the same page with me there. In terms of my other winner, well, Nude, you guessed it, and I know you're on the same page here. That is the Baltimore Ravens. Some guys are going to be looking great in purple, including Kyle Hamilton. Absolutely not a bust, and you know in your heart of hearts, you're just pissed you didn't get him. Not on top of that, you were talking about guys that are Smook, that have short range, that aren't those naturally big O-line guys. That is Tyler Linderbaum, the new center here. Lamar made it clear that what the fuck was not about his new center. He's excited for his new center. I think they're going to make something happen. You talk about making use of trades and getting great draft picks. That's exactly what the Ravens went out and did. I also am a big guy, and I know you probably are, Smook, of David Ojabu. Am I saying that correct?
Jabo, yeah.
Ojabu. Got him in the second round. And I believe he would have been a top 15. It wasn't for that torn Achilles.
He tore his Achilles, the same Sidney Jones type thing. Yep. But I think it was earlier on. I don't think it was at his pro day, but yeah, he did tear his Achilles. Did drop to around the same range as Sidney Jones dropped to. So I mean, I don't expect him to play.
By the way, not to interrupt. David Ojobu would have been a top 15 pick if he had not torn his Achilles at the pro day.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, it was his pro day. Yeah, no. Yep. So it was very unfortunate that happened because, you know, I just hope it doesn't sap him of his athleticism, because that's really what makes his motors relentless. I mean, watching him at Michigan, I mean, people said that he was better than Aiden Hutchinson. So we'll kind of see how that goes.
Wait, can you say that? Can you run that back for me one more time?
If David Ojabo never tears his Achilles, people were saying that he was a better prospect than Aiden Hutchinson. So, you know, that's kind of what we're talking about in terms of tools.
You're not a Ravens fan. You're not a Ravens fan. You're not a Ravens fan.
We're talking about tools here, yeah. Well,
I'm just really excited with that information.
A couple
had a little bit of manliness come out of me with that news. It just made me really happy to hear, and that was it.
My favorite thing about the Baltimore draft, man, is some of these guys that they got later. Travis Jones is someone that I had a first-round grade on. Someone I wanted the Eagles to trade back and get. So if they trade it from where they were at, trade back to 26, 27, trade Travis Jones in the first round, at the end of the first round. The Ravens got him at 76. So, I mean, this is a guy, I don't want to say Fletcher Cox or Javon Hargrave, but that's kind of the vibes that he gets. 6'5", 350, ridiculous motor, carried Connecticut's defense. We're talking about UConn. We're talking about a team that nobody knows that they played football. Like, even my UConn friend who went to UConn that I was at the draft with was like, I didn't even know UConn had a football team, let alone guys that were able to be drafted. But this guy is a gem, absolute gem. Got him in the third round. Good for you, Baltimore. A guy that's going to probably be someone that's going to terrorize Kenny Pickett here in the near future.
Fuck you.
Daniel Falele, another guy that I loved. Aussie, played rugby. Well, problem is that he's not as athletic as another Aussie rugby player that plays for your Philadelphia Eagles, but definitely could be a good pro. He's going to sit for a couple years. Definitely not ready yet. And then my favorite tight end prospect, Charlie Kolar, who is Mark Andrews. Literally, like, if you watch him play, his size. The knock with Mark Andrews was,
of course it was.
He didn't block. He was just a slot receiver. And if you watch Charlie Kolar play, he's basically a slot receiver. So yeah, you're gonna have 2 of them, and then that's basically what they did. They had 6 fourth-round picks. They're like, let's just take shots. Daniel Falele, Charlie Kolar, let's just take shots after shots and see if anyone sticks.
Realize just like he comforts you, he can destroy you in a moment. I also, hats off to all our non-YouTube watchers. Hats off to Samuk. I mean, that is damn impressive. This man wasn't looking at notes. Am I correct? You were just pulling this out of big brain.
I mean, I have who they drafted just pulling. Yeah. I mean, it's I see their draft, and I just every single guy are guys that I wanted the Eagles to take, which is usually a good draft for me. For that. So there's like 9 guys on this list, and I'm like, God damn it, I wish the Eagles took them. So, yeah. So there you go. Sorry, Shanudi. So.
It's all good.
Beautifully said. It was a masterpiece. Loser. It was like watching Picasso paint or watching, Future compose. It was simply incredible. Taken back there And then I already
You're not a Ravens fan.
I already went ahead and reviewed my loser. We talked about it during some Mooks winners and losers. That was the Dallas Cowboys for me. Unbiased aside, and this really just kind of Jerry Jones was showing the draft board to the public. He just looks like he's a mess. He's starting to let's be honest. He's starting to mentally decline. It's very apparent. One of them's going to go to jail. One of them hopefully in Dan Snyder, and one of them hopefully joins him eventually because we know he does not have a clean past. But that the mental decline, I think, is going to end up Jerry Jones in jail, unlike Dan Snyder. With all that being said, it was just a piss poor draft. Nobody that really popped. Of course, they draft some white guy named Tyler Smith in the first round. There was nothing exciting for me there. Unlike the Ravens draft, which was simply spectacular. But Nude, I know you've been waiting a long time, buddy. So why don't you go ahead? I know you probably have the Ravens up there in the draft as well. Break down your winners and losers for us.
So apparently, from both of what you said, the loser in this is me because the Ravens didn't have a great draft. I mean, it is what it is. No, I mean, like, this is what they do every year. I'm not surprised. Ravens do their thing. We do our thing. I mean, I'm not here to talk about Ravens and Steelers. I am talking about, to be honest, I'm with you, Smook. Like, I feel like there was no team that got worse in this draft. You know what I mean? Like, nobody took a step back. A lot of people took developmental projects that I think are going to be good. Like, I think you talked about the Packers with Christian, and I see, like, I mean, Malik Willis is going to be behind Ryan Tannehill, even though Ryan Tannehill is not going to mentor him. But, like, Trey Burke comp was A.J. Brown. So, I mean, they trade A.J. Brown to get A.J. Brown light, I guess. So a bunch of these teams are doing different things to better their teams down the road instead of, so, like, most drafts are like, oh, this guy's going to start right now. This guy is going to be A1 can't miss prospect. I think we had maybe 5 of those. I mean, if anything, but I think really there was no loser. I think the real winners in all this was, I'm going to be honest with you, I really do like what the Jaguars did, even though they fucked up their first pick, in my opinion. But I don't think Walker is as bad as people think he is. I just don't think he's the number one player. I do like him. I would
completely disagree with that, but yeah.
No, I mean, he's not going to be like, we're going to down the line and be like, they should have taken Hutchinson, but Walker's okay. It's kind of like what we talk about with me and Smook talk about this all the time. Luka's way better than Trae Young, but Trae Young is good. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you traded, but, like, which one really got the better end of the deal of that one? So
I don't know if that's a fair comparison we can make yet. I don't think that's a fair comparison.
Not yet, but I'm saying down the line. I think really also another winner in this is, in my opinion, I mean, like, the Eagles did kill it. They did take Jordan Davis, who's probably going to be in there to take care of business once Fletcher Cox calls it a day. A.J. Brown, they did the A.J. Brown trade. I mean, really, it's the Kobe Dean. I mean, the Kobe Dean is going to be the guy that sets the tone for this draft, the guy who went to the draft thinking he was going to be drafted in that top 10, top 12, before Wyatt, before Steven Pickens, before all these different players on his own team. And it's just like, I think Dean will be the centerpiece of that defense more than Davis for years to come if he is healthy. I mean, correct me if my arm's some mook. I'm taking your thunder for your own team. But I did like what you guys.
Yeah, we haven't got to the thoughts on your team stats section yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I didn't want to be like, oh, we automatically won, and you didn't want to be that homer guy, right? You want to be that Eagles homer coming on and just being like, oh, that dude is a douche. He's talking about Eagles football the entire time.
And that's what we would expect out of a typical Eagles fan. But I will say you have proven yourself.
I wanted to kind of shout out the other teams and the ones that, you know, people didn't really know what their drafts were like. But yeah, no, the Eagles absolutely murdered this draft. I mean, Howie had himself a masterclass.
He really did.
He kind of does this every other year, where it's like, okay, last year was a great draft, year before not so great, but you know, it's all about the trenches in Philly, all about it. That's our, you know, it's something about you know, just putting your work boots on and going to work. That's kind of how the city's built. That's how the city is. And then how much better is it when you have Jordan Davis and Cam Jurgens 1 and 2?
Oh my gosh.
Unbelievable. Both of these guys. Jordan Davis, spider chart monster. Just look at his spider chart. He's basically, and masses the entire thing. It's just as big as he is. There's nobody in the NFL, no prospect that has his athletic measurements. It's no guy that's that big should run that fast. No guy that's that big, that fast should be that strong. No guy that's that big, that fast, that strong should be that smart. No guy that's that big, fast, strong, smart should also be that nice.
Hey,
good guy.
You were saying how, just quick, I want to go off the sport for a second, totally. You were saying, and go to a different sport, you were saying how the Heat were going to go ahead and sweep the 76ers. You want to get into that a little bit and just break that down on how they're going to get fucking shellacked over the next 3 games?
You want to be honest? He's not a Sixers fan.
I'm not a Sixers fan. No.
I was going to ask Billy everything before I dove in on that.
No, I'm not.
I had a feeling.
They have a very soft spot in my head, in my heart. Been to a lot of Wells Fargo games for very cheap when the process was happening. I was in college at that time, so a lot of times being in the lower bowl for like less than $10. So like you would just buy like an upper bowl ticket for $1, go sweet talk the usher because she hasn't seen anyone all day. So just sweet talk her, say hi,
podcaster voice,
roll back down. Dude, it's great. Philly's awesome. But anyway, in any case, you had Jordan Davis and Cam Jurgens 1 and 2. It's just kind of basically how he's been doing for the last 10 years here. Build through the trenches, have elite, trench play on both sides of the ball. Jordan Davis, again, he can play nose tackle. He can play nose tackle in a 3-4. He can play, defensive tackle in a 4-3. He really does everything for you. He's going to probably be a early down guy early in his career, learning behind Fletch, learning behind the gravedigger, Javon Hargrave. Probably be used as our 4th DT. But then I'm sure, comes year, 4, 5, 6, he's going to be a monster. He reminds me of Akeem Hicks more than anything. People think that he's like the guy from Tampa. He's more Akeem Hicks to me. Vita Vea is more of a freak than Jordan Davis is, only because of his explosiveness. Vita Vea is just another beat. Is on another planet.
Is another
1,000%. He's not.
It's not even. I don't think that's a fair comparison. I just don't think anyone's on Vita Vea's level. So Jordan Davis is more of a Akeem Hicks. If you want to put a comp to him, really just high floor guy. He's going to be in the league for 10 years. So, and then Cam Jurgens again. He's a tight end. We talked about players that have moved from one position to another. Started out as a tight end, moved to playing center. He's only been playing center for a couple years. And then when Jason Kelsey says this guy reminds me of Jason Kelsey, you take that guy 10 times out of 10. So, usually, this is also very, unprecedented. A guy that you take at center who's going to sit his first year. Centers are supposed to be the most pro-ready guys. Like, you just kind of plug and play them, and they're supposed to be good. So, he's a red shirt. He'll probably play a little bit of guard if there's some injuries on the line. But I don't expect him to play too much. But, again, for the future, we're trying to hedge at this point. The Eagles are trying to figure out what team they're going to be in 2023. This 2022 we're playing with house money, baby. That's what we're doing. And not to get me to Nakobe Dean, who, first round talent for me. Tiny, not a great spider guy, but leadership, accountability, instincts.
Does he got those thick, meaty fingers?
He's got thick, meaty fingers too. That's my guy.
That's all I need to do.
Middle linebacker that can blitz. Like he's a guy that, his entire life he's been too tiny, so he's been able to do all that. And then my favorite thing about the draft is when they asked him like, how do you feel about the injury stuff that people talked about. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm just mad that it cost me money. It cost my mom
money. Oh, yeah.
Money.
It cost him money.
Oh,
a lot of money.
Oh, this dude's going to be a chip on shoulder guy for the rest of his career, and he's going to play like it, I'm sure. He reminds me a lot of.
Get ready, bitch.
What do you guys? Yeah, he reminds me a lot of Jonathan Vilma, if you remember him. Jets.
Yes.
Saints
Oh,
fame.
Yeah.
Tiny linebacker that can just run around. Takes really good angles at the ball. Really smart, instinctive player. He's gonna be. My guess is he starts right away. There's no way you can keep this man off the field. So, great draft. Ended the draft with a bunch of special teams guys. It's fine. Honestly, unbelievable. I can't believe. I can't even say.
That's
more
great.
About it.
You got your 25 minutes to talk about it. Okay,
I'll talk another 20. Yeah, I'll talk another 20 if you need me to.
I was gonna.
We haven't even talked about AJ Brown yet. Yeah. We haven't really talked about AJ Brown yet.
He knows.
AJ, yeah.
I did want to ask Mook,
get into it.
This is kind of your expertise. In day 2 and day 3, who do you see are your big impact players? You can give me as many as you want. I'm not going to stop you because I love hearing you talk about it because I think I know one of them. But no, like seriously, I know like we talked about Nakobe Dean, Pickett.
Yeah.
Those are the guys who were supposed to be first round, but they had different issues with, let's say, with injuries and character. But who do you feel like was that guy that nobody had on their radar that got drafted and could do something?
So I mean, there's a bunch of these. I mean, every year I'm gonna shoot 2 for 20, right? 2 of these guys that I call out of the 20 are gonna be great. The other 10 might be fine, and 8 might be out of the league.
And when you hit those guys, it feels like I'm gonna
be all over it. So I put together a list, and just going down some of these guys that I wanted the Eagles to draft, and guys that are great. Calvin Austin, we talked about, Shanudi. That's your guy. He's the third too. You gotta love the third. Yeah, he's a fucking ball player. That guy. He can play. He reminds me a lot of Rondale Moore. He's a better Rondale Moore in my opinion. Guy that was drafted in the second round last year. Khalil Shakir is another guy out of Boise State that was a receiver. People might not know about, but may hear about come fantasy draft time.
Right.
Plays for Buffalo now. Kind of reminds me of Robert Woods, as in he's a kick return specialist, but also is just a great route runner, great hands. Played at Boise State. Not many people watch Boise State. Also a little slow.
They'll win you money if you're smart.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I don't expect. It's funny because fantasy is all about, when we talk about rookies and stuff, these guys get inflated. So I mean, who knows? But
I was talking about betting on Boise State. They almost always got.
Oh yeah, Boise State guys are great. Tyler Algiere, the guy from BYU, went to the Falcons. Probably a day one starter for them. Running at he reminds me a lot of James Conner. It's pretty much the consensus comp for him. He's going to start day one, and him and Cordero. Cordero's more of the receiving guy, right? This guy is going to run, between the tackles, get a lot of yards. They just released Mike Davis too, so that's going to be a place for them, place for him to really show his worth. So I know Mike is taking notes here, so you can use it come August.
What I'm doing.
Nick, can you give those over to me? I just ran out of toilet paper, so that would be really helpful if I could get your notes and put them in there.
Oh, of course, because I'm not.
I'm just kidding.
In our leagues.
No. I agree with all that, man. And you clearly know your shit. You have a bigger brain than both me and Nude could ever have combined. So I'm really impressed with that. I do appreciate you having it on the show. I hate to hear how well, to take it back to I think it was like a 45-minute rant you were doing with the Eagles. It just pains me to hear how well you guys did, because it was, as much as I hate to admit it, was a pretty goddamn impressive draft all around. And in bits aside, I'm taking off the big cap now. Nude, I mean, the Steelers really didn't have a bad draft either. I was impressed with what they put together. We talked about how we do honestly all like Kenny Pickett. It's not a guy that's going to go ahead and, win you 3 Super Bowls right away. But what they have built around them is definitely a guy that can help you lead towards that way. I love the receivers you guys got in the draft as well. Especially Garrett Wilson. I would always download that draft class, and I would always draft Garrett Wilson. I fucking love him to death. So I think there's a lot of things to be excited. Or sorry, not Garrett Wilson. Excuse me, George Pickens. I apologize. I had them on the same team when I would draft them for the Commandos, so it'd always be, again, Pickens on one side, because you could get them 1 and 3. First and third. So you get Pickens on one side, and then you have Wilson on the other. But I love George Pickens. A great body type, huge guy. I'm excited to see what he can do. Impact right away guy. So, again, as much as I hate to admit, I think you both have better drafts than my team did. I already told you, I don't like anybody, period. Maybe, Samuka, you can give me some therapy that you do for Nude at least 3 to 4 times a week and kind of help me feel a little better here, because I don't, again, Dotson, fine. Robinson, the guy that we drafted in the second, I don't think we needed another running back whatsoever. Antonio's insulted. I understand these, especially the way the league is now. We burn and churn with running backs all day long, but I think Gibson is a guy that you get more value out of than most backs. He's on that higher tier. So I was a little confused by that move. And again, like I mentioned, the only thing that really gets me off my seat a little bit, and I'm honestly exaggerating, and I'm convincing myself that it's going to be something special, like Nude's going to have to continue to do with Kenny Pickett over the next couple months. What was your take on our draft? Can you give me some therapy? Should I feel a little bit better than I do? Because that is my take on the draft. I was pretty fucking pissed. I was texting Nude. I was texting everybody in my phone that would text me back and letting them know how fucking pissed I was. I was out of control.
I would say the Washington draft was more of a high floor draft than a take shots draft. Like there
Sure.
isn't that many guys that pop out to you, but at the same time, Jahan Dotson is as safe as you can get as a receiver. Awesome route runner, reliable hands, high catch radius. Problem is that he's not going to provide you that yak. He's not going to give you those yak yards. He's kind of the guy that operates, within 10 yards. Yeah, he was an explosive receiver for Penn State, but he pretty much did he was basically their entire offense. He ran the ball for him. Yeah. He threw the ball for him. Like he did a lot. He did a lot for that offense. Yeah. I watched a lot of Penn State. I don't know. I watched a lot of Big Ten football in general. Nothing else to do on Saturdays and just throw on, Big Ten, 12 o'clock games. Noon, and you'd always see Penn State.
You're talking to a degenerate here, so I always have those on at least 3 different TVs. I know the drill.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I watched a lot of Jahan. Great. He's a great player. I just don't understand why you took him at 16. He was probably, I think maybe you probably thought, Green Bay or Kansas City might jump up and take him. But yeah, no, Jahan Dotson's that guy. I think that he's a great complement to Terry McLaurin's, long speed, his ability to, Terry McLaurin's ability to track the ball, unbelievable. Just probably one of the best long ball trackers in the NFL. So, this is a really good, complement of receivers there.
Do you understand the move, though, that we made? I want to hear the rest of your thoughts on the later rounds, but do you understand that move that we made? I understand we get more draft picks, more value out of the third and fourth. That's fantastic. But to me, it just didn't connect when, again, like I said earlier in the show, you could potentially get 3 Pro Bowl guys. And I don't see Dotson maybe one time being a Pro Bowl guy, but that's really about it.
Yeah. The thing is that you always just have to have guys on your team that play. And then if you just keep taking shots and they're just, high risk, high reward guys, and you keep missing, then you end up with a Eagles 2020 draft room, where you have Jalen Reagor and all these bums. You just have bums on bums, and it's just because JJ Arcega-White.
Chill. I'm just telling you, man. There's no DU alum in there, man. Relax.
It's just when you draft for tools and your receiver in that room isn't good, it doesn't make the room better. You need to draft toolsy guys that are projects in positions that are already good, or else they're not going to be good. That's just how it works. And so Washington,
we have such great history developing players.
That's why I think Dotson's the most pro-ready. Like, you're getting a guy that's going to play right away, and be good right away. I think that I think that wide receiver 2 was a hole for Washington, and I think this provides that provides that for him. So I actually really like Dotson. I think that just the way the board fell, you had to take him at 16.
Right.
I don't understand why you wouldn't take Olave or Jameson at 11. Maybe Jameson is a little too much of a project for you to take at 11 because he's not ready.
Or even Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle Hamilton's safety's another position. I just don't value safeties as much. And I don't think a lot of other teams do.
If you're a long-time listener of Face of the Franchise, Samuk, we're a very pro-safety podcast, man.
Yeah, it's just not my thing. But it's a good. I honestly, again, don't hate any of these drafts, and it's hard to say because I know that's what everyone's listening in for. Who are they going to shit on? Are they going to shit on my team? I don't have that. I think every team did relatively well. Fedarian Mathis, another solid defensive tackle with a high floor. A guy that I wanted the Eagles to take. I think he would have been available in the 3rd round, but the Washington semi-professional football team decided that he was a 2nd-round pick.
There it is.
Fine with me. That's
fine. Football name already determined, and it's god awful. What's wrong with it?
Yeah, so that's why we should just stick to Washington FC. Just go all European with it. Just sounds much better. But
wait, what was that? I didn't hear that.
It's a soccer team. It's like a soccer name, Washington football team. Just stick with it. Just call it
Washington Ineps. Is that what you said?
No, Washington FC.
Washington FC. Ineps too.
Okay.
Washington Ineps also sounds good as well. But Fedarian
again, I own that
agility drills though.
I own that we are a terrible franchise, that we're barely a franchise. I wouldn't even call us a semi-pro football team. I barely call us a high school football team. We're barely a small business at this fucking point. So I own all of it.
Sam Howell, though, you said that you like him. I want to hear. I want to ask you a question now. So what do you see? Because that doesn't really match up to what I see or what I saw this year. So what do you see in Sam Howell as to why you think that he's going to be someone that can contribute in any facet?
I get ready to laugh.
Sam Howell had a better year last year. I think you would agree with that, right?
No, I don't. But okay, continue.
What the fuck? Joey.
I think
That's what
that
your starting point was.
I mean, I would. I mean, I'm just being perfectly honest.
Okay.
I think that's when
literally
that offense was a whole lot better, in my personal opinion. You look at the numbers too; they were arguably a little bit better. But I think that Sam Howell this past year as well, he has a cannon, accurate cannon. I think if he can actually make up for that learning curve, he's sneaky athletic as well. It's somebody that I think would surprise a lot of people and how well he can develop into a solid starter. Again, I compare him to like a Ryan Tannehill. I think he's a guy that you can kind of plug and play. A guy that definitely will refuse to mentor anybody, but that's fine. And I see a whole lot of potential in Sam Howell.
Okay, I can see it. I can see it. I think you're looking at it with like the rosiest tinted glasses, like probably the best case scenario. We're talking about like a 0.001% chance scenario. I mean, I'm looking at it from a realist. Like his launch angles are all over the place. His mechanics are trash. He's played an RPO system his entire career. Like he doesn't know what he's doing in a real offense. Like I remember there was one play against Virginia Tech where he had an RPO and the guy is wide open. And instead, he sidearmed it into the defensive lineman that was coming towards him instead of throwing it over his head.
And you don't think my guy, Mr. System and statistics and looks at that play every single day and says, I'm going to be better than that. You don't think this guy knows what's said about him? You know he has a fucking cannon. I don't care what you say. Mechanics are a little taco, fine, fair, sure. But he is still accurate when it comes down to it. Does he make some poor decision making? Does he have a learning curve? Absolutely. 0.001% is blasphemy. It's asinine. It's disgusting. I won't have that on my program.
I hope I'm here and Sam Howell is balling out, because again, I'm rooting for all these guys. These are all like my kids. Like if I'm like teaching a kindergarten class, like these are all my guys, and I just want them, to come back in a little bit, 10 years down the line, and I see that they're doing well. That's what I'm hoping for. But at this point, he's just the guy that I look at and just like, this dude ain't it. So
regardless, we're gonna have you back on. You absolutely killed it this show. I'm dead serious. I really liked having you on, but we are gonna 1,000,000,000% have you back on let's say week 10, 11, when we're in that wild card spot and Sam Howell is showing off that fucking cannon, and I'm gonna be playing this clip of the podcast to both of you. And you guys can both suck my dick from the back, as Nude likes to say. You can lick my dirty butthole with your notes inside it. And that's exactly what's going to happen. So, again, that 0.001% chance, I feel pretty good that we can take that to the bank. I would go as high as 5%. And there it is. Right?
He's an
there
optimist.
it is. I would go as high as 5%.
Optimist.
Which is about a 5,000% increase.
This is what I want to leave with, and I kind of know I'm going to put you on the spot right now, Smooth. Early defensive players of the year.
We're talking about rookies, like rookie player of the year.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, rookie.
It really just depends on who's healthy and who sees snaps. So I mean, like offensive, I think D-Roy, Hayden Hutchinson is probably the safest bet. But would you be surprised if? What'd you say?
Cuckinson. Is how I believe it's pronounced. Yeah.
Okay. I gotcha. I see. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
We had an Ohio State fan. We had an Ohio State fan in the last episode. He called him Cuckinson, so it was fun.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Yeah.
But it's also obvious why it's being applied there.
Yeah, I mean, it really just depends on who sees snaps. Like Ebiketie is a guy that I didn't get to talk about in the Falcons draft. Again, another great toolsy guy in a toolsy draft when they drafted Desmond Ridder, my favorite quarterback. Ebiketie is a guy that could get double-digit sacks this season, just based off of playing off of Grady Jarrett, a guy that I really liked also a couple of years ago. One of my, you throw 20 darts, one of them is going to hit. Grady Jarrett was one of them that hit. So
that's a smooth dart, baby. That's a smooth bullseye. Let's go.
Thank you. But Kayvon Thibodeau is another guy that I don't know why he fell. I would say if I was a betting man, which I am, which I have hundreds of dollars on games, spread throughout different sports today, baseball, hockey, whatever. I'm a betting man. So if I'm a betting man, Kayvon Thibodeau is probably my defensive rookie of the year. Just basically, big city. He's probably going to get 10 plus sacks. He's going to feast on some of these offensive tackles that, may or may not be named Tyler Smith. So it's going to be fun. It'll be fun to see him. And then I'm going to go with my guy, Jameson Williams. That's going to be I hope he comes back. Hope he comes back healthy before the start of the year, and then it just lights teams on fire. A little worried about his quarterback play, about the player that's playing quarterback for him, but those are my two choices.
Yeah,
go with
Kayvon's
Jameson
somebody
and Kayvon
that
today.
I was. Sorry to cut you off, Smook. I mean, but Kayvon was somebody that I was really high on as well. He's somebody that for a moment, I actually had Walker and Kayvon 1 and 2. I really, really like what I see about this guy. He's explosive. He's dangerous as hell. And I agree with you with that absolute beast on the other side. And Jared, it's going to be fucking unstoppable, man. So I'm really excited to see at least that the defensive ends finally kind of matter there. Finally in Atlanta. So I'm excited to see what all kind of gets down. But, and then, yeah, Jameson Williams, a guy with lightning speed that I absolutely think is going to crush. It's a guy that I believe another guy, as I've mentioned already, we should have drafted. I'm really, really fucking thrilled to see what this guy can do.
I'm excited to see two players, and I think they're both my offense and defensive rookie players. I'm going to go on a limb here. I'm going to pick JJ3 to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think really what we see is I feel like he was at Florida State, got overshadowed of the situation he was in, but they said he didn't want to leave the field. He comes from that JUCO kind of system of the indie football. Everybody was watching Netflix. You've seen him, but he wanted to be on the field. I think that hunger is going to be in him. My second guy is Nakobe Dean. Like you said, Smoke, I mean, the guy's going to have a chip on his shoulder. Why not? Like, why not go out there and win Rookie Defensive Player of the Year? So my offensive guy, I mean, it's easy to pick Kenny Pickett because if he does start, quarterbacks usually win that. But I'm gonna not do that because obviously for obvious reasons, I'm gonna pick actually a guy that I thought the Jets picked, and I'm like, wow, I think this guy might do things if he gets the ball. Breece Hall, I mean, the number one running back. Why not? Why not? They might feed him the ball more times than they will Wilson. More. I mean, obviously we know who Michael Carter is, but when there's Breece Hall in the backfield, you give him the football. I mean, the guy's an absolute tank. I mean, I really would love to see what he does with a full workload. I think he might be if that offensive line is stable, the quarterback play gives him enough where they're not putting it in the box. Hall might be the Rookie of the Year. I might put money on both of them right now. Put me for JJ and
Get those futures, baby.
So.
A couple of long shots I like. I mean, we talked about Tyler Algiere, the kid that's going to be playing.
If you don't mind, Smook, real quick, I just want to get
go ahead. Sorry,
buddy. Yeah, no worries at all. So what I wanted to go ahead and get in was who I think my offensive rookie of the year is. I've already mentioned him briefly, who I liked a whole lot. I actually think it is going to be Garrett Wilson. In my opinion, I think he's most wide receiver ready by far. Most NFL ready, honestly, out of all those guys, not just the wide receivers. This guy is an absolute fucking speedster. One of the best route runners, I think, in the draft. I would argue better than Olave in some cases. I don't know what it says in the spider chart, Snook, but I fell in love with this guy since his freshman year at Ohio State. I fucking love him to death. And then in terms of my defensive player, I am going to go ahead and ride with you there, Smook. I love Thibodeau. He is, again, I've already went over it, fucking dynamic as hell, and I think he is going to end up being one of those once-in-a-generation sort of players.
Yeah. It's a shame that it's with the Giants, though, but it is what it is.
And we'll ignore that. But
for that draft, God damn it, I really like that draft too. But I mean, you could also make a case for Drake London, only receiver on that roster.
True.
It's going to be a numbers thing. Just who's putting up numbers in fantasy. That's who the
come on, baby. Let's go.
There you go. So I mean, we didn't even get to talk about George Pickens in that little video that he posted this draft day.
I told you.
I didn't hear about this.
I retweeted the video. Here's what I'm saying. The guy's either going to be a Pro Bowl player or number one wide receiver behind Deontay's one, he's two, or he's going to get suspended week 4 by taking his helmet off and hitting, let's say, Jesse Bates in the head with it. There's no in between. There's no in between. And we might get videos of camp of him and Claypool fighting because he's telling Claypool to stop TikToking and bullshit. But I did watch an interview with one of the Steelers beat reporters. He didn't seem like he had the attitude, but so did AB. So I'm not going to say anything until I see it actually happen. Martavius Bryant did the same thing. I mean, everybody remembers Sammy Coates, right? I guess.
Yeah.
But but
could you forget good old Sammy, baby?
Sammy Coates. But no, I mean, he is a first-round talent that had issues, injuries, everything in between. The one thing that did make me positive about him is he didn't have to come back. And he did. He played those final 4 games, came to win the championship, did what he had to do, didn't put up the numbers that you would think somebody with that diva attitude would make a problem with. He went and won that championship. So that video was just wacky. That video was just a goon. All right. That's all I can say. I mean, it's a guy in a ski mask. He looks like the baby. I'm with it. I'm riding with Pickens. Let's go. Do I want him or Juju? Give me Pickens, a guy who's not TikTok wearing ski mask.
Hell yeah, baby.
I'm with it.
Love Jordan.
So
I gotta before we end the show, Nude, real quick. I know it's been a long one. It's been a great one. So I'm glad to have you on.
Great show. Very good.
It really, we're definitely having you back on again, man. You were smarter than most.
To come on.
There's no doubt there. And you're an Eagles fan.
When we do the NFC East. When we do the NFC East preview.
Yeah, I thought you know what? I got another guy. We're gonna have a nice little 4-way show. Thick, meaty fingers, all 4 of us, and we'll talk NFC East for sure. But I gotta ask you guys off football topic. I gotta know, which way are we riding right now? Are you guys watching the trial? Are you guys watching it as much as possible during your work hours? Getting what you can. Are you?
No, stop. Samuk, what were you going to say? You cut off my man for that? Samuk,
no, we're not. We don't do it. It's funny because my buddies were asking me about it, and I was just like, I don't know what you're even talking about. Like, I had no idea it was happening, like, in our backyard also. Like,
Fairfax.
It's happening, 20 minutes down the road. I had absolutely no idea. Absolutely none. Too busy looking at
Twitter beef, let alone divorce court.
I'm just ready for September. Honestly, the schedule comes out next week.
No, I'm not ready.
That's what I was going to say earlier. I blanked on what I was going to say earlier. We are literally in that mode right now, Samuk and Dude, and we say this all the time on the show, Nude. We're withdrawing. We're starting to get the shakes.
You two
are starting to scratch. We're starting to.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's get back into it.
You two are scratching. I got a team to worry about. They're playing against the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's go Heat until further notice, baby.
Hey, and you got a ball. Hey, you got the O's. We're heating up, baby. I don't know if you saw, but I made my first TV appearance.
The Capitals.
I made my first TV appearance on Saturday. Check me out on the recording of the Red Sox game Saturday night.
But Samuk, parting words. What you were going to say something when I was saying about the NFC East. What were you going to say? I feel like
I don't really have anything to say about the draft. I was going to say I think at this point, like, every team fan base thinks that they're going to win 15 games and win the Super Bowl, right? So this is the best time of the year, honestly.
I know, except for me.
The next 2 weeks are just, your favorite team. You just go look through. Your favorite beat writer writes about who won. Oh, look at this guy, look at that guy. You watch all these interviews. Right. This guy's the limit for all these guys. I'm really happy for all of them. We made it. Draft's done. Everyone gets their guys. I'm just happy. We get to do this. And get to talk about it and shoot the shit about it. And again, thanks again for having me on. This was fun.
Absolutely. We're gonna have you on again, and everybody's gonna be happy about their team except for me. I will always say Steelers will win 6 games and be pessimistic as fuck.
I mean, I'm with you too. I think we'll be lucky to win more than 5. I'm perfectly honest.
You guys are so pessimistic. Come on, like wait till you see.
Me.
We have PTSD, and I'm surprised you don't too. I think you're fresh off a Super Bowl. It's only been
we were 11-0. We were 11-0. 11-0.
Wait, what happened after 11-0? How'd you guys lose that?
Okay, we lost to you guys, but I'm saying to Samuk, I literally told him. I told everybody in that group chat. Yeah. I was like, when we were even 8-0, I was like, you know what's funny? We're gonna win these 3 tough games: the Ravens, the Titans. And then I think I said
it on the show every week.
Yeah, and I was like, the team we're going to lose to is Washington, and I'm not going to hear the end of it. And what happened? Got moved to Tuesdays, and I was watching it, and one of our good friends, and I was like, and he's like looking at me. I was like, exactly. I called it. And guess what happened? The slide happened, and we had to beat the Colts. Oh, okay. I'm getting worked up.
The owner's not going through a Supreme Court investigation. At least that you're not reliving on moments when you drafted RG3 and you thought the future was just limitless,
beautiful.
I hate this. He did run a 4.58 though.
Those moments.
Did you see that?
He did run a 4.58.
You maybe look up the commercial of RG3's Adidas commercial saying all in for week 1 and just imagine and fantasize about what didn't happen. So, you both are in a better spot than me. But at the end of the day, I am very happy that we had you on the show, Smook. You absolutely killed it, man. Nudie, as always, you were below average. Thanks for trying. I know we got some sponsors we want to get to. I think we'll put a little pretty bow on this podcast right here.
Before we
Unless
go,
you have anything to add, buddy.
Before we go, Smook, give everybody your IG and your Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
I'll put it in the bio.
SSREO424 for Twitter. I don't even know what my Instagram is honestly, but SSREO424. You can find me. Throw me in there. Twitter's mostly just sports related. Some tennis.
His Twitter is very good.
Yeah, it's honestly soccer. A lot of soccer too. We're getting towards the end of the Premier League. Just really getting dunked on by a lot of teams. I'm a Tottenham Hotspur fan, so just getting dunked on by everyone at this point. So really just a doormat at this point. So
when you do anything for the Heat, just tag me a little so I can just be like retweet. And I
said Chanuti's still giving me shit because I said Heat in 7 against Atlanta. I was just like, I said they were going to win the series.
What happened? 7? Against 7 against.
Hey, he did say they were going to win. He did say they were going to win.
I said they were going to win. I thought that they would struggle. I thought they would figure it out. It didn't happen, but it is what it is.
Not the Pittsburgh Steelers. This team has grit. This team knows not to kill me. And in a short death, they know when to win. I love this team. And the way we're going to end this show is me crying about this team. I love this team. Go Miami.
I want 2 future picks too. Give me 1 future pick for the Premier League. Give me a NBA championship future, since you are a fellow degenerate, as we are on the show as well. So give me 2 Premier League winner, NBA championship winner, and how far do the Heat go?
So City probably wins the Premier League. NBA future, I'd still go with Phoenix. And I think the Heat make it to the conference finals. Lose to the Bucks.
All right, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. The conference finals was what I had them at the beginning of the season.
It's a win. That's a win. I made everyone happy. Keep everyone happy. Yeah, I tried to do the Miami in 7, try to get some instigation there. It didn't work. I'm just gonna go back into my whole say they're gonna lose in the conference championship. Not make it.
That's fine. I will not be mad. This is where
you picked them to win. He got triggered. Clearly, you won. Don't worry. Very easily triggerable though. That's not a hard one, but you won.
All right. Well, boys, thank you again for rocking with us. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this show. We are very grateful. Smook, again, thank you for coming in and being our insider. We'll have you again. We are now live on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, anywhere where you get your podcast. Please download and subscribe. Follow us on IG, Facebook, and Twitter for all our new podcasts, as well as our sponsors. Please go look up Stuck Up Clothing, finest fashion money can buy on Instagram. They have their new line, as well as Eyesight, mobile eyewear company. That's Eyesight with an I, mobile eyewear company that comes to you for any prescription you have, glasses and sunglasses. Follow them, as well as Seductions by Jax. She's the best in the business of what she does. Go find her calendar on IG. Ask for an appointment. Get everything done. Go ahead, Joey.
May is completely filled up at this point, but she is taking June appointments. June book just opened up. And again, male, female, get yourself looking right for the summer. It's not just that summer body. You got to make sure it's trimmed, primmed, and proper with that summer body. And speaking of trim, slim, and proper, what else do we got to go ahead and get if we're going to keep trim this summer, baby? Tell them.
Oh, Smooth My Balls. Smooth My Balls, brought to you by Smooth My Balls. It's an actual company. It's actually the company against Manscaped. So use 4CR20 on your next purchase to get money off. That is the number 4, CR, the number 20, to get money off your next purchase. I am Pharaoh. That is Samuk Row. Did I say it right?
Row. Yeah. Like the, yeah.
Row, baby.
Samuk, hand fetish expert Row. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Let's go.
Fake it. So, look at those hands.
And that is Little Joe Ooh. And
hey, I can compete. I'm not going to look at those thick meaty.
Oh, thick
meaty fingers. One love. Yeah. Hey, those are meaty-ass fingers, Joe.
That's what I'm saying. These are speaking of once in a generation, this whole podcast, these are once in a generation fingers right here.
Christ.